It's a whole bunch of trivia about stand-up, slapstick, and all things silly on this episode with 20 questions on comedy with Gundo Comedy Festival runner Dave Williamson. This is Trivia with Buds. Welcome to episode 95 of the Trivia with Buds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Budds. I'm a trivia host and comedian in Southern California, and I'm so glad you decided to check out this show this week. We've almost hit 100 episodes, and it's getting very exciting because I'm trying to figure out what to do for the big 100th episode, and I have some big news coming up very soon about what's happening after we hit 100 episodes, so stay tuned for that. If you like trivia, we put trivia questions in your ears or your eyes if you watch this audio on a YouTube video, for example, every single Tuesday with a full-length episode. Those are usually between 45 minutes and an hour or so, and then we do a mini episode every Thursday where I have one topic and 15 questions about it, and it's usually under 15 minutes. So if you like trivia, you've come to the right place, especially if you like pop culture trivia. Today's episode is all about comedy to help promote my friend Dave Williamson and his running of the Gundo Comedy Festival in El Segundo, California. So you can listen to my interview with him, and we talk about all things stand-up and comedy related. You will dig it, and if you like this show and you like what I do, you can see me do trivia at Brewport tonight on the day this episode comes out. It is Tuesday, May 15th, and I'll be there from 7 to 9 p.m. doing a bunch of local trivia, comedy trivia, and other fun stuff. I had a real fun weekend. Speaking of fun things, I was at the Ren Fair in Irwindale, California. They do it every year for about a month and a half out here in California, and man, it was really fun this year. It was probably the best one I've been to of the 3 or 4 that I've gone to over the last 10 years. Went with the family. We dressed up as pirates, and my son and I had matching hats. It was great. If you haven't been to a Ren Fair, even if you're not into that kind of thing, I highly suggest you go. But if you go, put on some kind of accessory, some kind of Renaissance fair related thing, because the people that don't have it on really look out of place because of how many people do have it on. And don't just throw on like a Darth Vader helmet. Like a lot of people do that. They'll just be like, I'm Freddy Krueger at the Renaissance fair, and it doesn't really make sense. But I do like when people take like a Freddy Krueger and then they make it like an old pirate Freddy Krueger or something like that. So that's what I recommend you do. Just put some time into those costumes. It was a ton of fun this year. I saw the same Gandalf that I took a picture with my daughter with 2 years ago when she was just 1 year old. We saw the same one right before we left, and he's just an unmistakable giant man with a huge beard and a long pipe and the cloak and the hat and everything. And I said, hey, and I showed him the video because I had just shown her the video earlier that day. And he goes, I totally remember this kid crying when you were trying to take the picture. So she refused to take a picture with him this year, but I definitely snapped one with him that you can see over on Instagram. You can follow me on social media, Ryan Budds, RyanBudds on everything if you want to see what's going on in my world of hosting trivia. I'm looking right around me in my booth in my man cave right now. I have 10 VHSs. These are the 10 that surround me. The movie Used Cars from the 80s, great comedy. Reefer Madness, an original VHS of that. Caddyshack, The Goonies, the original Batman. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990, Back to the Future 2, which I like a lot, Roadhouse, which I never stop talking about, Creep Show, and a live tour video from the band The Lemonheads, signed by 2 members of the band who have been on the show before, Ben and John O'Reilly. So I want to know what your favorite 10 movies are. What are the 10 you couldn't live without? Leave a comment if there's a commentable box wherever you're listening to this at, or send me an email, ryanbudds@gmail.com. I want to hear what my listeners are into movie-wise, and it may come into play later around the 100th episode. We have some fun stuff coming up on this episode in just a second, but I do want to say a special thank you to all the subscribers I have on Patreon. If you like this show, the easiest thing you can do is rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Help us get higher in the charts over on iTunes. And if you really like the show and you want to throw a few bucks towards the show and making it bigger and better, go to patreon.com/trivia with buds like these fine folks have done. My friends Alex, Alexis, Manny, Earl, Natalie, Jess, Fiona, Kyle, and Brenda. Thank you so much for your monthly donations, and I hope you like the rewards that I have been sending out. We put up polls and all kinds of different stuff on the Patreon page for mini episode ideas. If there's something you really want to hear some trivia on, just, send me a message. Let me know what's up, or check the polls and you can vote on which one we do. We just did one on aliens and vampires for last week, and aliens won, so that was the mini episode on Thursday. Without any further ado, we're going to dive into 20 questions on comedy with Dave Williamson and the Gundo Comedy Festival. Here we go. Sitting here in beautiful Laverne, California, in my booth, in my man cave, talking to one of my most manliest friends around. His name is Mr. Dave Williamson. What's up, Dave?
How's it going, Ryan? I don't know if that means I'm manly or if I'm just manly compared to your other friends.
Yeah, I don't have many friends, so you are probably the only one that's a man, to tell you the truth. I live in a house full of women and a small baby who's not yet grown to be a man, so I consider you the most manly person in my life.
I'll take it.
Sure. You don't have a lot of body hair, though. I should mention that.
That is a fair assessment.
That is the assessment of a water polo player, for sure.
Very smooth.
Yeah, very good. Speaking of smooth, you are running the smoothest comedy festival in all the land. It's called the Gundo Comedy Festival, and people can check it out at the gundocomedyfestival.com. Tell me a little bit about how you got this whole thing started in El Segundo, California.
Sure. Well, when I moved out to Los Angeles, we moved to El Segundo and fell in love with the community here. And I had some experience with comedy festivals in the past. I've been to a ton, performing, obviously. But then also I was involved with running the South Beach Comedy Festival
Sure.
down in, Miami Beach, Florida.
Right.
And so, when I moved out here, I just couldn't get it out of my brain that this would be an awesome place for a festival. The community's just really supportive of events. And, it doesn't feel like you're performing in Los Angeles. It feels like you're performing in, some little Midwest town on the road, because that's just the vibe of El Segundo. So,
it really does have, it really does have like that Mayberry vibe. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
Andy Griffith show? Mayberry vibe, but it's close to the beach, and it's like, it's hip, but there's a lot of families, and there's so much to do there. It's just a great place. It's such a unique place for a comedy festival. So I'm so glad you're doing it. This is the third year or the fourth year?
This is the fourth year, man. Hard to believe.
Fourth year. I think I have 4 T-shirts from this festival. Very excited about it. Now, you might remember Dave's voice if you've been listening to this podcast a long time. He was on episode 23. We're coming up on episode 100 pretty soon, Dave. So almost 75 episodes ago, you were on doing some barbecue trivia versus, was it Ryan Dalton in the 80s?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I would have never
right.
guessed if you had said it. But
that's exactly what it was.
That epic battle.
Do you remember who won? I was trying to recall.
I think I barely won. I think I won on like the last question or something like that.
That sounded about right. When you said barbecue, I thought it was such a unique topic. I had to do that one. And now we are about a year and a half later, and you're doing some barbecue business. Tell me about Silly Willie's Barbecue. In addition to being a comedian, you've started smoking meats.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing it as a business. I'm doing it as fun. But you never know where life takes you, right?
You charged me $100 for a piece of bacon the other day. I think that's business.
I've been foiled. That's right. You did get to try the bourbon bacon that we soaked in R6 distillery bourbon and single malt whiskey. It was delicious.
It was fantastic. You grilled it right in front of me. We got a video of it on my social media somewhere. It was very, very good. And it was funny when you were running.
I just got really into it as a hobby, and then I was able to purchase this gigantic commercial smoker. So I built a little smokehouse area in my front yard, and I'm definitely all in.
Yeah, I love it. When you ran the name past me, you said, "What about Silly Willie's?" I literally didn't put it 2 and 2 together until I typed it today that the Willie refers to your last name, Williamson. I was just like, "Oh, Silly Willie, that's a fun name." You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm a Canadian. I'm silly, and then my last name's Williamson.
There you go. You said you kind of came.
Silly Willie Barbecue.
Perfect name. You said you came in, contact with this smoker, this commercial smoker, and now you have it. I feel like every time I check in with you, you're finding some piece of equipment or some kind of shed that you're getting for like some kind of deal on Craigslist or something like that. Tell me about some of the other cool stuff that you have like in your house, around your yard that you've recently gotten, especially for your kids.
Yeah, well, I built a gigantic barn in the backyard. That's what you're talking about with that shed.
Yeah, that's right.
So I got that off of Craigslist because the shed that was in the backyard that the kids liked playing with, it rotted, that came with the, we rent this house and it was back then, it rotted. So I went on Craigslist and found this one for $700, which was way more than I wanted to spend. But it was gigantic. It's probably a $3,000 shed. So I sent the lady a message, and she called me, and I was just getting ready to lowball her, but I was telling her about how I wanted to do it for my kids, and she said, you know what? You're doing something nice for your kids. I'd rather give it to you for free than give it to one of these people that's lowballing me on price. They think they got a deal on me. You can get out of here by tomorrow. You can have it for free.
Wow, so she got you.
I went and got it.
That's amazing. So that's the best.
We went and almost killed ourselves taking this thing apart and putting it back up, but we did it. Now I have a really awesome barn in the backyard, and then a couple of comic buddies gave us a air hockey table for it, and I got a free foosball table in there, and I scored a arcade machine from Hugh Hefner's ex-wife for a couple $100.
Oh my God, this is like a picker's dream. All these things you're saying, you're like the El Segundo picker.
I feel like Los Angeles is the best for that because people move so often, and also their dreams come crashing out. They have to sell stuff.
Yeah, so, you could easily go. Yeah. If you click on those free dirt links in Craigslist, you never know what comes with the dirt. They're like, oh, there's also the coffin of Michael Jackson in the dirt. You could take that too. You're like, oh my God, all right. Very good. So we got barbecue. We got a comedy festival. Tell me a little bit about the festival. What are the biggest shows this year? What are you looking forward to running?
Well, something we've done the past few years that I always look forward to is on Thursdays, we have a show at the Old Town Music Hall, which is a really neat place. It's a silent movie theater, very authentic silent movie theater that's been there for several decades. It's got this really cool pipe organ in it that we do a demonstration of during the show. And then the guys who run the Blind Barber Secret Show over in Culver City, they produce that show for me.
Oh,
and it's a really great night. That's on Thursday night. And that's kind of the vibe of the festival. Is we get producers from around the city to bring their stuff here. So like Trivia with Buds comes to one of our venues, like you did last year.
Yeah.
And everyone loves them. And then actually you ended up getting a couple regular accounts out of it here in the area.
Yeah. I can't thank you enough for that. That was really cool. Last year you said, hey, why don't you come do some trivia at this place called Tavern on Main? And I said, let's do it. Yeah. And it went well. And it wasn't even like there were 100 people playing or anything. It was probably like 20, 30 people. And they seemed to enjoy it. And the owner of that place also is kind of part owner of a place across the street called Brewport, where you host for me every Tuesday. But we've been there for about 6 months now, and that all came from your festival last year. So I owe you one extra commercial smoker next time I see you.
Deal. I could fit another one in my yard.
Yeah. I also have some dirt I'm going to drop off any day now. But yeah, that worked out really good. And then we're also, like you mentioned, at the R6 Distillery once a month. And a bunch of fun stuff going on there. I'm learning all about how whiskey and bourbon and vodka and all these different things are made from my friend Rob Rubens, who runs that place. And you run a comedy show there on the monthly, and it's been going really well.
And it'll be part of the festival as well. We'll be closing the festival out there this Sunday, and it's a really neat place to watch the show because it only seats about 50 people, and it's just a super classy room, as you know. You've been there.
Yeah, and, it feels like you're in a murder mystery dinner. It's great.
Yep, and then another venue I'm really excited about this year, too, is we're using this place called South Bay Customs, which is in that same little Smoky Hollow area. It's kind of the industrial area here. Mm-hmm. But it's a motorcycle shop, but they also double as an event space, and it's just really cool. They generally have music, but I'm excited to do comedy there. I just think it's going to be a lot of fun and conducive for a good time. The room just looks so cool.
I love those unique rooms. You always seem to come up with the best ones. I think a couple years ago you had me do stand up in a CrossFit gym, which was interesting. Yeah. We were standing by suspended rings hanging from the ceiling and stuff. It was great. It's a good time.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about this little area, man, is there's just so many neat venues, and I just couldn't get out of my head that these would be cool places to throw, comedy shows. And you can only have so many weekly and monthly shows, so I'm like, festival seems to be like the way to go.
There you go.
And we do a kids show. We do a kids show on Saturday, and we have a free babysitting on Saturday night through Parks and Rec. And we have a podcast recording with Bert Kreischer at the brewery on Wednesday at noon. So there's a real variety of things to do. People could check out the website at thegundocs.com, and Instagram and the Twitter is the same, the Gundo CS.
Fantastic. Dave Williamson and the Gundo Comedy Festival. Check it out. All kinds of great events going on May 15th through the 20th. And I thought it'd be fun for today for you to plug the whole fest and do 20 questions about stand-up comedy. So I have a bunch of questions about comedians, movies that star comedians, things like that. And we'll see how many you get out of 20 to see if you are worthy of actually running a comedy festival, Dave. If you get below 15 out of 20, I have to excommunicate you from the comedy world.
Boy, this could really backfire.
And yeah, it should be a good time. We'll do that, and we're going to dive into that right now. This is 20 questions on comedy-related stuff. You ready?
Bring it.
All right, this is question number 1 of the 20 questions on comedy. What comedian starred in a Netflix special called Baby Cobra?
Ali Wong.
It is Ali Wong. What comedian starred in Netflix special Baby Cobra? Ali Wong. She's got a new one out, and I think she's pregnant in this one as well, because she was pregnant on stage in the recording of the last one, correct?
She was. She's just going to stick with that.
That's a good, hey, not a bad shtick. I dig it. Question number 2. What is a blue-collar comedian Bill Engvall's catchphrase?
Here's your sign.
Here's your sign. Did you ever open for Bill?
Never, man. My buddy Nick Hoff opens for those guys a whole bunch later, the Cable Guy and Bill.
And they're still touring. They still do a bunch of stuff, right?
Oh, for sure, dude.
Nonstop till they're dead, probably. What is blue-collar comedian Bill Engvall's catchphrase? We just learned it's "Here's your sign." What's Larry the Cable Guy's? It's "Get her done." He isn't. I feel like people don't even really say that anymore. I feel like that was on every T-shirt at Walmart a couple years back, and now it's kind of disappeared into the ether.
I'm sure they do in the right.
What's
parts of the country.
And then
gotta look.
Foxworthy is "You might be a redneck," and then Ron White doesn't have a catchphrase. He just is like cigar and whiskey. It's great.
He's just known as Tater Salad.
Oh yeah, tater salad. That's kind of his thing. Here's number 3 for comedy-related questions. Who is the oldest Wayans brother of these 3 brothers? Is it Sean, Marlon, or Damon? Sean, Marlon,
That's going to be Damon.
It is Damon. He is the oldest. And he's on that Lethal Weapon show on Fox right now. And did you hear that they fired the lead, the white guy?
Stifler's going to take it over.
Yeah, now Stifler's jumping in. I think that's going to get some new life into the show. It makes me want to watch it, and I've only seen it casually, like on at a bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that guy's getting work, dude. I always wondered where he went.
I read something about him recently. I think it was more his decision. I don't think he was not getting work. I think he kind of just wanted to be out of the spotlight. He's one of those guys like I've seen stopped on TMZ, and they try and get him to do something crazy, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just driving a car, guy." You know what I mean? Here's number 4. What country was Jim Jeffries born in? What country?
I should know this because I should definitely know this, but I know that it gets confusing because he seems Irish, but he's actually Australian. I'm gonna go with Australia.
It is Australia. If you just Google his name, the first thing says he was born in Sydney, Australia. Jim Jeffries. Do you know him personally?
I've hung out with him a couple times. Sure.
He's a guy you see, like if you're in the LA comedy scene, he's kind of like always around at different places. So he's kind of like an approachable guy too. I feel like you could chat with him and not.
For sure, man. I played cornhole at his house at 2 a.m. before.
There you go. Is he good at cornhole? That's my question.
I don't think any of us were good at cornhole that night.
There you go.
But I also just let a bunch of my friends write on his show, so I just went and hung out at their show last week.
Yeah.
Podcast
I've got a few on my schedule to be guests on the show in the future, the near future. You know Matt Kirshen?
Of course, yeah.
Funny dude. And he loves trivia. He's a big trivia guy, so I think he'll be a great guest. Here's number 5. What comedian starred in the 1997 remake Flubber?
Was that Eddie Murphy?
It was not Eddie Murphy. It was actually Robin Williams. That's your first miss out of 5 questions. So you're on a good track. If you kind of stick with your record so far, you'll be great. Robin Williams was in Flubber, 1997, with the green goo, which is all over the place. Do you have 2 boys? How old are your boys? Like 10 and 8 or 12?
Yeah, 8 and 10.
10 and 8. Are they into slime and making slime?
Yeah, they got into that a while back. I haven't seen it recently, but definitely slime was a thing for a while, and I hated it because it would always be on the table. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, it was. It's still pretty popular, and I don't know why, but it seems like it's more popular with little girls. Like girls like 14 and under, they make and produce and sell slime at school and for fundraisers. And I don't know if it's the how you can customize the colors and the glitter and all that stuff. But my kid, she's 3, she loves it, and I've noticed a lot of other girls selling it in my neighborhood, which is crazy.
That's quite a racket.
The modern day flubber.
I mean, I might give up smoked meat for slime manufacturing.
Silly Willy Slime Factory. That's a toy I would buy. Here's number 6.
That probably makes more sense for the name, too.
Yeah, there you go. Number 6, finish the George Carlin special name. Complaints and blank. George Carlin special. It was one of his last ones. I think it was the second to the last one. It was called Complaints and blank.
Oh, I know this.
It's a good one.
Complaints and concerns?
Oh, you're close. Grievances. Complaints and grievances. So no point there. You got 4 so far, and you've missed 2. That one is a tough one. Complaints and grievances. Number 7, which comedian got quick notoriety for his observations on Hot Pockets?
Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, Gaffigan. One of my favorites of all time. Are you a Gaffigan fan?
I am. I got to open up for him one time. Probably the largest audience I've ever performed for. Had to be 4,000 people there.
What city was that?
And that was Fort Lauderdale.
Oh,
Florida.
Very cool. Was this at the height of his popularity?
Yeah, it was probably right around that time, or at least when he was getting close.
Yeah, dude.
But he really is that obsessed with food.
Yeah.
Like, they had this, in my green room, there was nothing. In his green room, there was this giant spread they set up for him. And then after the show, I brought my wife up there to meet him, and it literally bothered him that food was going to go to waste. So
that's funny.
He was like, you guys live close to here, right? And I'm like, well, not close, but we drove.
Yeah.
And he's like, he grabbed my wife's purse and started shoving loaves of bread in my wife's purse. He's like, take this home. It's going to go to waste. And I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble for stealing from the theater. I'd like to come back here sometime, you know? He's like, just take it. It's going to bother me.
Oh,
and then I went to I was at a wedding with him one time as well, and he was the same way. He couldn't turn it. Like, people are walking around with the trays of food, and he's just making Twitter jokes the whole time. Like, more food should come in ball form.
I opened for no, I didn't open for it. I was at the Chicago Improv the weekend after Gabriel Iglesias was there, and his fans, they make him like full cakes and cupcakes and layers of food, and he just leaves it in the green room. So I was there the week after that, and there were just boxes and boxes of pastries, and they're like, take anything you want. That's all Gabriel's from last weekend. I'm like, that must be crazy to show up to a sold out show and half the audience made you cupcakes. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hope my fans do that with meat one day.
Yeah, there you go. Silly Willy. They'll come at you with
bring me brisket.
Brisket. Bring me brisket. There's your first T-shirt when you take off. Number 8. Who hosts a show called Last Week Tonight? Last Week Tonight.
That would be John Oliver.
John Oliver. I don't watch that show too much. Do you?
No, but I have caught it on when people post like segments online, and it's always great.
I know, the clips are awesome. That's the perfect clip kind of clip-worthy show. I feel like I'm always watching clips of that. Number 9, what comedian starred in a show called The Increasingly Poor Decisions of Todd Margaret? This was a show like a very unique. I think it was a British-produced show, and it starred an American comedian. What comedian starred in the show The Increasingly Poor Decisions of Todd Margaret? I think what was it?
Dimitri Martin?
That's a great guess. It was not Dimitri Martin. It was David Cross.
Oh.
It's a really interesting show. Very funny, very meta and things like that. Like there's a lot of weird editing to frame storylines and stuff. It's a very cool show. I think I watched all of it, or maybe at least 2 out of 3 seasons. Number 10, we're halfway through your quiz here. How do you feel so far? You've missed 3, but you've gotten quite a few. You got about 6 so far.
Well, it's only my profession.
It's like a doctor missing a surgery question. Here's number 10.
Yeah.
How many episodes did Seinfeld run for? Was it 120, 150, or 180, or 199? Seinfeld, total episodes 120, 150, 180, 199.
Man, it was a long time. I'm going to go 180.
It is 180 episodes, and that includes like a two-parter episode counts as 2 episodes. So the finale was 2 parts, so that would be 79 and 180. But you got it. Nice job.
One of my best friends in high school and college made it his mission to get every single Seinfeld episode on VHS. And he had it in boxes, organized, labeled. And right about the time he got the last episode, DVDs were invented, and you could just go buy a box set.
And then he goes, shit, I got to get all the DVDs. So he bought them all. And then they're like, oh, now they're on Hulu for $8 a month forever. And you're like, oh.
Exactly.
Oh, man, so much time. I had a cousin who used to just burn everything, every game, every movie, everything to disc. And he had these binders, just thousands of binders. And I'm like, where all that stuff's you just throw it away now. You don't even need it.
It's worthless.
It's crazy. Question number 11. What year did we lose Joan Rivers? What year did Joan Rivers pass away?
That was about, I would say, 2015.
So close. 2014. You were just 1 year off. 1 year off. But very, very close. 2014. I always loved that Joan Rivers documentary where she had the card catalog of all the jokes where she could pull it out, and it was like husband jokes, and she had every joke on an individual index card. I always thought, I'm like, yeah, one day I'm going to have that, and then that's definitely not going to happen. Yeah.
Nah. I don't even do that with my taxes and things like that.
That matter. Yeah.
Things I should keep organized.
Number 12. What is Amy Schumer's current theatrical movie? There's a movie starring Amy Schumer out right now. What's it called?
I Feel Pretty.
It is I Feel Pretty. What do you think about the premise of that movie? People were kind of like, 50-50 on if that was a good idea or not.
I mean, I think that people they jumped the gun on it a little bit.
Yeah.
When the first trailer came out, I thought it was justified because the first trailer didn't seem to, frame it correctly. But when I read a little bit more about the context of the movie, I was like, oh, all right, well, that might be all right. Give it a shot. But I haven't seen it, so it's hard to have an opinion on it,
Yeah, I'm with you. It's definitely one I want to check out to see how it all kind of played out based on the trailer. Here's number 13.
I think
good.
I think it's a bigger conversation about Amy Schumer and just how much she's been in the press over the last couple of years, and I just think expectations for her to not make any mistakes whatsoever, like socially, is immense.
It is. It's crazy. She blew up so quick and had so much success right away. Yeah, people really put her through the ringer when something new comes out. Here is number 13. What is the name of Jeff Dunham's old man puppet? It's just a first name. It's an old man's name. What is the name of Jeff Dunham's old man puppet?
I know this.
You should know it since he's headlining your festival this weekend.
Is it Gus?
Very close. Walter. Walter was the name of that puppet. Walter. Those are, I mean, if I had a second guess, I think it would be Gus. So good job. Number 14. Who is the voice of Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story movies? Mr. Potato Head. Classic.
It's not a stand-up, though, right?
Yeah, classic stand-up crowd work comedian.
Oh, Don Rickles.
Don Rickles. You got it. Did it help when I said crowd work?
Just when you said classic, then I remember it was.
Perfect.
I was confusing him with the dude from Cheers who does one of the characters, too.
John Ratzenberg is Ham, the piggy bank.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of first.
Number 15, Red Fox. Did Red Fox spell his name with 1 D or 2 Ds?
I'm going to go with 2.
It is 2. Nice job. 2 Ds for Red Fox. Sanford and Son. Great show. Number 16, what female comedian won a Best Supporting Actress Oscar in 2010 for the movie Precious?
Monique.
It is Monique. You ever met her? She seems nice.
No, I've never met her.
I don't know if she actually seems nice. I was kind of being facetious because she always seems to be yelling at people in the press.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Tirade.
17. What network airs the Pete Holmes show Crashing?
HBO.
It is HBO, and that seems like a real close-to-home show for a lot of comedians. I haven't had the chance to check it out. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I watch it. I like it a lot. It's a good show. The only thing is that, and I don't know how you would do it any better, but the things that happened to him in his career on this show, it takes, like, things that happen to him in a week should take place over, like, 7 years, you know?
Sure, yeah.
But I guess that would be a more boring show, you know? You got to speed it up for...
That's true.
But
yeah, and his journey to a little bit of stardom, and he's not even a megastar or anything, but I mean, like, you know, he's probably been doing stand-up for, what, 15, almost 20 years now?
Yeah, probably.
And they kind of are probably just condensing, you know, big portions of things that happen to him and stuff, but that's a good point. We got 3 questions left. Let's see if we can get all 3. Here's number 18. Who plays Norm Macdonald's best friend in the film Dirty Work?
Artie Lang.
It is Artie Lang. I love that movie. I just watched it recently to see if it holds up, and it still holds up. It's pretty funny.
Dude, there was... Oh, I'll never remember. I'll have to go watch it now. I remember there's one line in that movie that crushed me. I was laughing so hard whenever I watched it in college. I was like, oh, now it's going to kill me to think. This makes terrible podcast fodder, but it's going to make me go watch it.
I love when he calls the cops and he goes, "Hi, real cops." Just that quick line alone is like such a Norm line. And and then they go to that car dealership and they keep opening those trunks and they put all those dead hookers in them. It's great, so great.
Yeah.
You know what? I need somebody to make those kind of movies again, like those real silly, stupid, like there's no real point to this movie kind of movies. They really gotta, like, you know, like the I Feel Pretty we were talking about. It's got to have this message, and it's like, just make like a Billy Madison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess
it's got a ton of quotable lines in it.
Yeah.
It'll come back around though.
Yeah, I guess they do a little bit with, like, you know, like Super Troopers 2 and stuff like that. Those are kind of
yeah.
All right, here's 19. Who had a Comedy Central special in 2009 called Seriously, Who Farted? 2009, Seriously, Who Farted? I'll give you a hint. People tell you that you look like this guy sometimes.
Nick Swardson?
It is Nick Swardson. You don't really look, he doesn't really look like you anymore, because he just doesn't. But back in the day, maybe a little bit more. Nick Swardson.
I used to get it every now and then.
Oh, yeah, there you go. And number 20, here it is. The George Lopez Show ran from 2002 to 2007 on what network?
Well, I think it was on a major network, and then it switched to, like, the CW or something like that. But from 2002 to 2007, I'm going to say, let's go with ABC?
It is ABC as part of their you know, let's include everybody kind of thing. So they diversity. That's it. Let's include everybody kind of thing. That was how I said diversity. Part of their diversity initiative is what I just read. And George Lopez, they were like, let's do this show. And it ran for 5 seasons, which was enough for syndication, I think. And then it started airing, you know, reruns on other networks and things like that. So you did get the last 5 that we talked about. In total, you only missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dave, you got 15 out of 20, exactly what we predicted for you to accurately run this festival.
Oh, woof. That's a close one.
Very cool. Dave, where can people find you personally online if they want to see what you're up to on social media and your website and stuff?
Yeah, I like Twitter, which is at Dave W Comedy. But that's also I'm sorry, not Twitter, Instagram. I hate Twitter. Find me on Instagram at Dave W Comedy, but you can also find my Twitter, that's the same handle.
And you could see Dave clawing up stuff with, like, Wolverine meat claws. If you like meat being shredded, he posts that kind of stuff on Instagram quite a bit.
I do a lot of barbecue posts on there, and a lot of dad posts, and sprinkle in a little bit of water polo.
Fantastic. And where can people get more info on the Gundo Comedy Fest?
The Gundo Comedy Festival is on Instagram and Twitter at the Gundo CF. You can also look up the Facebook page at the Gundo Comedy Festival. The website is thegundocf.com or thegundocomedyfestival.com, whatever's easier for you to remember. And we got a lot of great shows, man. And there's even free shows, there's ticketed shows, so something for everybody.
Fantastic. Dave, thanks for being a guest on the podcast today, and I'll see you this week at the Gundo Comedy Festival.
We're kicking it off with trivia with Buds on Tuesday night at Brewport, 7 o'clock.
Tonight, when this posts. We'll see you there, Dave.
All right, buddy.
How how did you do on those questions? Dave got 15 out of 20 of those comedy questions, right? And I think that's great. That's a really good score. I don't think I would have scored that high if I was answering the questions instead of asking them. You can check out the festival if you want more info on that. Go to triviawithbuds.com and click on the event for tonight at Brewport, a very cool tap house where you can pick any beer you want. You wear a bracelet and they charge you by the ounce. So it's kind of like a candy store at the mall. It's very, very cool. I'll be there hosting trivia tonight, and you can check out the rest of the schedule and festival at GundoComedyFestival.com. thegundocomedyfestival.com. Dave's a great dude. He's been on the show before. If you want to listen to him again, episode 23, Barbecue and the 80s. Really fun episode with Ryan Dalton. Go back and check that out. I don't have too much else to say, guys, except that I am doing a big special event, Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars trivia, Sunday, July 8th in Chattanooga, Tennessee at the South Side Social. It's going to be fun. Tickets are $10, and they're available on my website, triviawithbuds.com. If you know anybody in the South, anybody around Nashville or Chattanooga or Atlanta that likes that kind of thing, send them my way. Tell them to go to my website, buy a ticket, come have a nice, strong drink, and win some amazing Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars stuff Sunday, July 8th. All tickets at triviawithbuds.com. Thank you guys so much for checking out this show. Thank you for supporting everything I do, and we'll see you next time for more Trivia with Buds. Bye-bye.